Stop scrolling and listen to today's Arcturian Council message. Arcturian Council is about to surprise you and leave all in awe. Starseed. A transmission that shakes your DNA, awakens your hidden memory, and forces your soul to remember why you came here. This is not a comforting message, and it was never meant to be. The Arcturian Council steps forward now because too many starseeds are still asleep while pretending to be awake. If you are hearing this, your frequency has already crossed a threshold that cannot be reversed. You were not meant to casually listen, you were meant to be activated. The shock you feel in your chest right now is recognition, not fear. Timelines are collapsing, false light structures are crumbling, and those who are unprepared will feel disoriented, emotionally unstable, and desperate for answers. This is not punishment, this is exposure. The veil that once protected humanity from its own power is thinning at a violent speed. You may feel tired for no logical reason, detached from old relationships, or suddenly intolerant of lies. These are symptoms of soul recall. The Arcturian Council confirms, your DNA is responding to galactic signals that cannot be blocked anymore. This is why distractions are intensifying, why chaos feels louder, and why silence now feels sacred. You were planted here to anchor truth, not to blend in. And if this message unsettles you, it means it is working exactly as intended. To claim this activation, type "I am ready" in the comments now. The Council warns that the next phase will not be gentle on those who resist inner change. Old karmic contracts are being forcibly terminated, even if your ego still clings to them. You may notice sudden endings, jobs collapsing, friendships dissolving, belief systems shattering overnight. This is not bad luck, this is extraction. You are being removed from loops designed to keep you small. The shock comes from realizing how long you tolerated what was draining you. Many starseeds mistake suffering for purpose, but the Arcturians are clear, your mission does not require martyrdom anymore. The era of silent endurance is over. Those who refuse to release outdated identities will feel pressure in the body, confusion in the mind, and emotional surges without obvious cause. This is energetic compression. You are being asked to choose sovereignty or remain entangled. The Council emphasizes that neutrality is no longer possible. Frequency is your passport now. If you stay silent, you choose stagnation. If you speak truth, timelines realign around you. This message is not for everyone, and that is intentional. To anchor this truth, type "I choose sovereignty" below. Here is the part that will shock you, not everyone you love is meant to come with you. The Arcturian Council does not soften this truth because softening delays awakening. Some souls agreed to play limiting roles in your life so you would eventually outgrow them. Their resistance to your growth is not betrayal, it is contract completion. When you stop trying to save them, your energy returns to you instantly. This is why guilt has been surfacing lately. Guilt is the final hook of expired agreements. The Council states clearly that compassion without boundaries is self-erasure. You are not here to dim yourself to maintain harmony. Harmony that requires your silence is distortion. As you release, your intuition will sharpen, synchronicities will multiply, and your tolerance for manipulation will vanish. This can feel isolating at first, but solitude is a recalibration chamber, not abandonment. You are being prepared to recognize your true soul family, those who resonate, not those who drain. To release expired contracts, type "I let go" without fear. The Arcturians now address the fear many starseeds carry but rarely admit, the fear of being seen. You remember lifetimes where visibility meant persecution, loss, or death. That memory lives in your nervous system, not your imagination. But this cycle is different. Hiding now causes more harm than exposure. The council reveals that many starseeds are delaying collective shift simply by staying quiet. Your voice carries codes frequency packets that awaken others without effort. This is why you feel restless when you suppress your truth and calm when you speak it, even if your voice shakes. The shock is realizing that your discomfort is not a warning to stop, but a signal to expand. You are no longer being hunted, you are being summoned. The world does not need more agreeable people, it needs resonant ones. When you speak, timelines adjust. When you stay silent, density lingers. To activate your voice, type "I speak my truth." The council now reveals something rarely discussed: your physical body is upgrading faster than your conscious mind can interpret. Symptoms like ringing ears, pressure in the head, heart flutters, sudden emotional releases, or vivid dreams are signs of neurological recalibration. You are not breaking down, you are being rewired. The shock comes from realizing how much of your discomfort was misdiagnosed as weakness instead of evolution. The Arcturians confirm that starseeds are learning to hold higher voltage without burning out. Rest is not laziness, it is integration. Hydration is not optional, it is conductive maintenance. The body is becoming a clearer receiver, which means what you consume physically and emotionally matters more than ever. You can no longer override intuition without immediate consequences. This is precision living. To support your upgrade, type "I honor my body." Here is a truth that may disturb you: time is no longer behaving the way you were taught. The Arcturian Council explains that linear perception is dissolving, which is why days feel compressed, memories resurface suddenly, and manifestations occur faster than expected. This is not coincidence, it is timeline convergence. Starseeds are learning to navigate reality through resonance rather than effort. When you align internally, the external rearranges with alarming speed. This can feel destabilizing if you are attached to control. The shock is understanding that struggle was never required, only alignment was. You are being trained to sense probability fields, not force outcomes. This is mastery, not chaos. To align with your highest timeline, type "I trust the flow." The council now delivers a warning: distractions will intensify for those on the verge of awakening. Algorithms, drama, emotional triggers, and false urgency are being weaponized to fragment your attention. Attention is currency in this phase. Wherever you focus, you feed. This is why exhaustion follows meaningless engagement, while silence restores you. The Arcturians urge discernment without paranoia. You are not meant to withdraw from the world, but to engage selectively. Every no you speak strengthens your field. Every unconscious yes weakens it. Power now comes from precision, not volume. To reclaim your focus, type "I guard my energy." Many starseeds secretly fear they have waited too long, that they missed their moment. The Arcturian Council dismantles this illusion immediately. There is no lateness in multidimensional timing. Your awakening was delayed only to ensure stability, not failure. Had you awakened earlier, the weight would have crushed you. You are emerging exactly when your nervous system can sustain the frequency you carry. The shock is realizing that nothing was wasted, not the pain, not the confusion, not the waiting. Everything trained you to hold more light without collapsing. To dissolve regret, type "I trust divine timing." The council now speaks directly to your mission: it is simpler than you think and heavier than you expect. You are not here to convince, you are here to embody. Your presence alone destabilizes false structures because truth does not argue, it resonates. This is why some people react strongly to you without reason. You activate what they suppress. This is not your burden to manage. Responsibility ends at authenticity. Anything beyond that is interference. To embody your mission, type I stand in my light. This final message for now is not comforting, but it is liberating. The Arcturian Council confirms that once you consciously accept who you are, there is no return to unconscious living. You will see through illusions faster, tolerate less nonsense, and feel called to walk away from anything misaligned without explanation. This is not arrogance, this is clarity. The shock is realizing how powerful simplicity becomes when illusion falls away. This is only the beginning. The next transmission will not be gentle. To seal this first activation, type I remember who I am. The Arcturian Council now brings forward a revelation that many starseeds resist at first because it dismantles a comforting illusion. Your suffering was never proof of your goodness. You were taught, across lifetimes, that endurance equals virtue and pain equals progress. That programming is being removed now, and its removal can feel like losing part of your identity. When struggle ends, the ego panics because it no longer knows how to measure worth. This is why peace can feel unfamiliar, even unsafe. The Council clarifies that ease is not a reward, it is a natural state that returns when resistance dissolves. You were not meant to fight reality, you were meant to shape it through alignment. The shock arrives when you realize how much energy you wasted trying to be strong instead of being authentic. As this realization integrates, you may notice a deep grief surfacing, not for what you lost, but for how long you believed suffering was necessary. Let that grief move. It is the final shedding of an outdated spiritual identity. To release the suffering narrative, type I choose ease. Now the Council addresses the quiet anger many starseeds carry beneath layers of compassion. This anger is not toxic, it is compressed truth. You were silenced, dismissed, and misunderstood repeatedly, and you learned to spiritualize suppression. But anger, when conscious, is clarity in motion. The Arcturians reveal that this energy is rising now because it is needed to fuel boundaries, not destruction. Expect moments where you suddenly say no without guilt, where tolerance evaporates, and where your nervous system refuses to comply with manipulation. This can feel shocking because it contradicts the image you held of yourself as endlessly patient. But patience without self-respect is self-abandonment. The Council reassures you, you are not becoming harsh, you are becoming precise. Precision feels sharp only to those who benefited from your silence. To transmute anger into clarity, type I honor my boundaries. The Council now speaks of loneliness not as a problem, but as a sacred initiation. Many starseeds feel isolated even when surrounded by people, and this has nothing to do with social skill or likability. It is resonance mismatch. As your frequency stabilizes, superficial connections can no longer mask energetic emptiness. This can feel brutal at first, especially if you derived identity from being needed or included. The shock is understanding that loneliness is not absence, it is preparation. Space is being created for connections that meet you without performance. During this phase, avoid forcing belonging. Forced connection delays true convergence. Trust that when resonance aligns, recognition is instant and effortless. To trust the initiation of solitude, type I trust the space. Here the Arcturian Council delivers a message that challenges conventional manifestation teachings. You are not here to constantly visualize or affirm your worth into existence. Worth is inherent, not generated. Overefforting manifestation actually signals disbelief. The Council explains that true creation occurs when inner contradiction dissolves. This is why some intentions never materialized, they conflicted with subconscious identity. As identity updates now, manifestations may arrive suddenly, without ritual or effort. This can feel destabilizing because it removes the illusion of control. The shock is realizing that surrender, not striving, is the most advanced technology you possess. To align identity with creation, type I am enough now. The Council now addresses the fear of collapse many starseeds sense globally. You are not imagining instability, structures built on distortion are failing. But this is not an ending, it is a reorganization. The mistake is assuming collapse equals chaos for everyone. Those anchored in inner coherence experience collapse as liberation. Systems that once dictated your survival are losing authority over consciousness. This is why intuition is becoming more reliable than external guidance. The shock is understanding that safety no longer comes from compliance, but from alignment. To anchor inner stability, type I trust my inner guidance. The Arcturians now speak about memory specifically, the memories you do not consciously recall but emotionally respond to. Sudden tears, unexplainable nostalgia, or instant recognition of certain symbols, places, or sounds are indicators of multidimensional recall. These memories are not meant to overwhelm you, they are meant to orient you. The Council reassures that full recall is unnecessary. What matters is integration of wisdom, not retrieval of detail. The shock comes when you realize you already know what you've been seeking. To integrate soul memory, type I remember through feeling. Now comes a directive that may feel uncomfortable: stop waiting to be chosen. The Arcturian Council states clearly that external validation is incompatible with sovereign frequency. Many starseeds delay action, expression, or leadership until they feel recognized. This keeps power outsourced. Leadership in this cycle is self-recognition followed by embodiment. You will not be universally supported, and that is a sign you are doing it right. The shock is realizing that approval was never part of the agreement. To reclaim self-recognition, type I choose myself. The Council addresses exhaustion at a deeper level than physical fatigue. Many starseeds are tired because they are still carrying emotional weight that does not belong to them. Empathy without discernment leads to energetic overload. You are not meant to process collective pain alone. As you release this burden, energy returns quickly and unexpectedly. The shock is how light you feel when you stop carrying what was never yours. To release energetic overload, type I release what is not mine. Here the Arcturians reveal a subtle but powerful truth: confusion often appears right before clarity locks in permanently. The mind scrambles when it senses loss of dominance. This is not regression, it is reorganization. If things feel unclear, resist the urge to force answers. Stillness now accelerates resolution. The shock is realizing that not knowing is a doorway, not a failure. To rest in clarity in progress, type I allow the unfolding. This segment closes with a statement meant to recalibrate your self-perception. You are not fragile. Sensitivity is not weakness, it is high-resolution perception. The world trained you to armor yourself, but armor dulls signal. As you embrace sensitivity with boundaries, your discernment becomes razor-sharp. The shock is discovering that what you tried to numb is actually your greatest asset. This concludes the next layer of transmission. To claim your sensitivity as power, type I honor my true nature. The Arcturian Council now brings forward a truth that may feel unsettling because it removes a familiar anchor: certainty was never meant to be permanent. Many starseeds were conditioned to seek solid answers, fixed identities, and permanent conclusions as a form of safety. But safety in this phase comes from adaptability, not certainty. The universe is not collapsing into chaos, it is becoming more fluid, more responsive, and more alive. As a result, rigid belief systems, spiritual or otherwise, are becoming liabilities rather than strengths. You may notice discomfort when old explanations no longer satisfy you, when teachings that once resonated now feel hollow, or when labels you once embraced begin to feel restrictive. This is not confusion, this is expansion beyond containment. The shock lies in realizing that truth is not something you hold, it is something you move with. Mastery now looks like responsiveness, not rigidity. When you release the need to be right, you gain the ability to be aligned. This phase rewards those who can listen more than they declare, sense more than they define. To release rigid certainty, type I flow with truth. The Council now addresses the subconscious fear many starseeds carry about power. Across lifetimes, power was associated with corruption, harm, or loss of humanity. As a result, many of you learn to shrink your influence, soften your impact, or dilute your truth to avoid becoming what you once opposed. That survival strategy is now obsolete. Power in this cycle is not domination, it is coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, actions, and values align, your presence becomes stabilizing rather than threatening. This is why people may feel calmer or more exposed around you without knowing why. The shock comes when you realize that avoiding your power does not make you safer, it makes you fragmented. Integration is the new ethic. You are allowed to be influential without being invasive, strong without being cruel, and visible without being oppressive. To integrate healthy power, type I embody coherence. The Arcturians now speak about grief, not the obvious kind, but the quiet grief for versions of yourself that will never exist. As you awaken, you may mourn paths not taken, relationships that could not survive your growth, or identities that once gave you meaning. This grief is rarely acknowledged because it does not fit traditional narratives of success or awakening. But it is real, and it deserves space. The Council emphasizes that honoring this grief does not pull you backward, it frees trapped energy that cannot move forward until acknowledged. The shock is realizing that healing does not always feel uplifting, sometimes it feels like a soft, aching goodbye. Let it pass through without interpretation. You are not losing yourself, you are composting what no longer aligns so something truer can emerge. To honor sacred grief, type I allow my heart. Now comes a recalibration of how you understand purpose. The Arcturian Council clarifies that purpose is not a single task, career, or role, it is a frequency you carry into whatever you do. Many starseeds delay fulfillment because they believe they have not yet found their mission. This keeps purpose perpetually in the future. In truth, every moment you choose alignment over fear, presence over performance, and honesty over approval, you are fulfilling your role. The shock is realizing that purpose does not arrive, it reveals itself retroactively through lived integrity. When you stop chasing purpose, it begins to follow you. To anchor purpose in the present, type I live my mission now. This segment closes with a message designed to stabilize your field after deep revelation. The Arcturian Council reminds you that integration happens in layers, not leaps. You do not need to act on everything immediately. Stillness after insight is not avoidance, it is wisdom. The nervous system must acclimate before embodiment can occur. Trust the pauses. Trust the integration. Trust that what has been activated will express itself naturally, without force. The shock is understanding that urgency is no longer required, alignment accelerates without pressure. This transmission continues to unfold within you long after these words end. To seal this integration phase, type I trust the process. The Arcturian Council now turns your attention to a subtle but decisive shift occurring within your perception of reality itself. You may have noticed that events no longer feel purely random, yet they also no longer follow predictable patterns. This is because you are moving out of reaction-based living and into observer-based awareness. In this state, reality feels more symbolic, more conversational, as if life itself is responding to your inner posture rather than your outward actions. This can feel disorienting at first because it dissolves the illusion that effort alone controls outcomes. The shock comes when you realize how often your inner resistance delayed solutions, while moments of calm alignment produced effortless breakthroughs. You are learning to read energy before it solidifies into form. This is advanced perception, not detachment. It requires responsibility, because what you tolerate internally now echoes externally with precision. You are no longer just living inside reality, you are in dialogue with it. To step fully into conscious perception, type I observe with clarity. The council now addresses a fear that surfaces quietly during deep awakening, the fear of outgrowing your own dreams. Some starseeds feel unsettled when goals they once pursued passionately begin to lose emotional charge. This does not mean you failed, it means your frequency has changed. Desire rooted in lack dissolves as self-sufficiency stabilizes. The shock is realizing that some dreams were survival strategies, not soul expressions. As these fall away, a temporary emptiness may appear not as depression, but as spaciousness. This space is not meant to be filled immediately. It is a recalibration chamber where truer intentions can form without distortion. Trust this pause. What emerges next will not require chasing, it will require presence. To release outdated desires, type I trust my evolution. The Arcturian Council now speaks directly to your nervous system, because awakening is not purely cognitive, it is biological. Many starseeds attempt to understand their way through transformation, but the body must feel safe for integration to occur. This is why grounding, simplicity, and routine suddenly matter more than abstract knowledge. The shock comes when you realize that spiritual bypassing kept you dysregulated while appearing enlightened. True expansion feels calm, not frantic. Your system is learning to hold more energy without triggering survival responses. This is why silence, nature, and honest rest now feel essential rather than indulgent. Regulation is the gateway to embodiment. To support nervous system integration, type I choose regulation. Now the Council reveals a truth about relationships that many starseeds avoid because it challenges romanticized notions of connection. Not all connections are meant to feel comfortable, some are meant to activate dormant aspects of you. However, activation without integration becomes exhaustion. You are now being trained to distinguish between catalytic relationships and sustainable ones. The shock is realizing that intensity is not intimacy, and familiarity is not alignment. As discernment sharpens, you may walk away from dynamics that once felt magnetic but destabilizing. This is not loss, it is refinement. Connection moving forward will feel quieter, steadier, and more nourishing, even if it lacks drama. To choose aligned connection, type I honor resonance. This portion of the transmission concludes with a recalibration of how you relate to the unknown. The Arcturian Council reminds you that uncertainty is no longer an enemy, it is an ally. When the future is undefined, you are not trapped, you are unconditioned. This openness allows new configurations of reality to emerge that could not exist within rigid expectation. The shock is realizing that the unknown does not threaten your existence, it expands it. You are safe enough now to let go of constant prediction. Trust has replaced vigilance. This marks a critical threshold in your awakening, the moment you stop bracing and start allowing. To embrace the unknown with trust, type I am safe in the unfolding. The Arcturian Council now directs your awareness toward a transformation that is subtle yet irreversible, the collapse of false urgency. For much of your life, you were conditioned to believe that speed equaled importance, that rushing meant relevance, and that stillness was a luxury you could not afford. This conditioning was never neutral, it was a control mechanism designed to keep consciousness fragmented and reactive. As your frequency stabilizes, you may notice that urgency now feels abrasive, even aggressive to your system. Deadlines that once motivated you now feel artificial. Pressure that once pushed you forward now triggers withdrawal. This is not procrastination, it is discernment. The shock comes when you realize how many choices you made under pressure that were never aligned with your truth. Time is no longer chasing you. You are stepping out of artificial timelines and into organic timing, where action arises naturally from clarity rather than fear. In this state, less effort produces greater impact, and rest becomes productive because it recalibrates perception. You are learning that nothing truly meant for you requires panic to obtain. To release false urgency, type I move in divine timing. The Council now addresses the dismantling of performative identity. Many starseeds unconsciously learn to perform healing, wisdom, or kindness as a means of survival, especially in environments where authenticity was unsafe. This performance may have brought validation, belonging, or a sense of control, but it also created internal fracture. As awakening deepens, maintaining a performance becomes energetically expensive. You may feel sudden aversion to roles you once played well, discomfort with being perceived in certain ways, or exhaustion after social interactions that require self-editing. The shock is realizing that even positive masks are still masks. The Council emphasizes that authenticity does not require consistency, it requires honesty in the moment. You are allowed to change your mind, your tone, your direction, and your boundaries without explanation. Integrity now means internal agreement, not external approval. As performance dissolves, presence strengthens, and your energy becomes clean, direct, and unmistakable. To release performative identity, type I choose authenticity. Now the Arcturian Council speaks of intuition not as a mystical gift, but as a biological intelligence that has been systematically suppressed. Intuition is the body's ability to recognize coherence before the mind forms language. As this faculty reactivates, you may notice that explanations arrive after decisions, not before. This can feel destabilizing in a culture that worships logic, but logic is a secondary processor. The shock is trusting knowing without evidence. You are being retrained to act on resonance, not justification. This does not make you irrational, it makes you precise. Intuition sharpens fastest when you stop negotiating with signals you already recognize. The more you honor small intuitive cues, the louder and clearer the guidance becomes. Doubt does not mean intuition is wrong, it means conditioning is dissolving. To strengthen intuitive intelligence, type I trust what I know. The Council now brings attention to a difficult but liberating realization: not everyone who misunderstands you is meant to understand you. Many starseeds exhaust themselves trying to be interpreted correctly, explaining intentions, softening language, or over-clarifying truth. This habit comes from lifetimes where misunderstanding led to harm. But in this cycle, over-explanation leaks energy. The shock is recognizing that clarity does not require consensus. Some people are not confused, they are incompatible. This is not a failure of communication, it is a difference in frequency. When you stop trying to be understood by everyone, your signal becomes clearer to those who can truly receive it. Silence, now, can be more accurate than explanation. To release the need for universal understanding, type I let my truth stand. This segment concludes with a recalibration of how you measure progress. The Arcturian Council reminds you that growth is no longer linear or dramatic. Progress now appears as subtle stability, fewer emotional spikes, quicker recovery, clearer boundaries, and quieter confidence. You may feel like nothing is happening because chaos has stopped announcing itself. This is integration. The shock is realizing that peace can feel boring to a nervous system addicted to intensity. But boredom is not stagnation, it is regulation. From this state, creation becomes sustainable rather than explosive. You are not losing momentum, you are gaining longevity. This prepares you for the next transmission, which will move from internal recalibration into external embodiment. To anchor this level of progress, type I recognize my growth. The Arcturian Council now brings your awareness to a truth that quietly restructures how you relate to effort and reward. You were conditioned to believe that struggle validates achievement, that ease is suspicious, and that rest must be earned through exhaustion. This belief system was never aligned with your original design. As your frequency stabilizes, you may notice that forcing outcomes now backfires, while inspired action yields disproportionate results. This can feel shocking because it dismantles the identity of the hard worker or spiritual warrior you once relied on for self-worth. The Council emphasizes that efficiency is not laziness, it is coherence in motion. When your inner state and outer action agree, friction dissolves. You are learning to recognize when action is premature and when stillness is strategic. The nervous system relaxes, creativity sharpens, and intuition leads. This shift may feel like losing motivation, but in truth, you are losing compulsion. Action taken from alignment feels lighter, clearer, and strangely inevitable. To release struggle-based worth, type I allow ease. Now the Council speaks to the recalibration of identity beyond labels. Many starseeds anchored themselves to descriptors: empathy, healer, light worker, awakened one, as a way to orient themselves in a chaotic world. While these labels once served as bridges to self-recognition, they can become cages if clung to too tightly. As consciousness expands, identity becomes fluid rather than fixed. You may feel discomfort when asked to define yourself, or resistance to being placed in categories. This is not confusion, it is multidimensional integration. The shock lies in realizing that you are not here to be easily summarized. Complexity is not a flaw, it is accuracy. When you stop defending an identity, energy previously used for maintenance becomes available for creation. You are not losing yourself, you are becoming too vast for a single name. To release limiting labels, type I am beyond definition. The Arcturian Council now addresses the relationship between silence and power. In earlier phases, silence was used as a survival strategy: hide, wait, endure. In this phase, silence becomes a conscious choice, not a reflex. There is a difference between silencing yourself and choosing not to engage. You may notice that arguments lose their appeal, explanations feel unnecessary, and observation becomes more satisfying than reaction. This is not apathy, it is mastery. The shock is realizing that you no longer need to respond to everything that seeks your attention. Discernment has replaced defense. Silence, when chosen, amplifies presence. It allows truth to stand without distortion. Your energy now teaches more than your words ever could. To claim conscious silence, type I choose presence. Now the Council brings forward a message about creativity not as artistic output, but as life force in motion. Creativity is how consciousness explores itself through form. When creativity is suppressed, stagnation and restlessness arise. Many starseeds learned to postpone creative expression until conditions felt right or permission was granted. That delay is no longer sustainable. You may feel sudden urges to write, speak, build, teach, or rearrange your environment without a clear reason. These impulses are not distractions, they are release valves for integrated energy. The shock is realizing that creativity is not optional, it is regulatory. Expression stabilizes your system and broadcasts frequency without force. You are not here to consume endlessly, You are here to contribute authentically. To activate creative flow, type I express freely. This portion of the transmission closes with a grounding reminder from the Arcturian Council: embodiment is the goal, not transcendence. You did not come here to escape the human experience, you came to inhabit it fully with awareness. Spiritual maturity now expresses itself through presence in the ordinary: how you listen, how you rest, how you respond under pressure. The shock is understanding that enlightenment does not remove you from life, it brings you deeper into it. Integration happens in kitchens, conversations, and quiet moments, not just visions or revelations. As you anchor higher frequency into daily reality, you become a living bridge rather than a distant observer. This prepares you for the final phases of this transmission, where embodiment becomes service without sacrifice. To anchor embodiment, type I am fully here. The Arcturian Council now speaks to a truth that many starseeds feel but rarely articulate: you are no longer motivated by survival, and this changes everything. When survival was the primary driver, decisions were made from fear, scarcity, and compromise. Now that your nervous system recognizes safety internally, those motivators lose their grip. This can feel deeply disorienting because much of the world still operates from survival logic. You may feel unmotivated by goals that once seemed urgent, unimpressed by rewards that once felt meaningful, or unwilling to trade peace for progress. The shock comes when you realize this is not apathy, it is evolution. Motivation is shifting from avoidance of pain to expression of truth. This transition can feel empty at first because creation driven by authenticity is quieter than creation driven by fear. But what emerges now is sustainable, clean, and deeply aligned. You are no longer running from something, you are moving toward coherence. To anchor post-survival consciousness, type I create from truth. The Council now addresses your relationship with responsibility. Many starseeds carry unconscious responsibility for others' emotions, outcomes, or awakenings. This burden was inherited from lifetimes of service under distortion. In this cycle, responsibility is being redefined. You are responsible for your alignment, not for managing others' reactions to it. This distinction is critical. The shock is realizing how much energy you reclaimed the moment you stopped emotionally compensating for others. Compassion does not require self-sacrifice. Support does not require self-erasure. As this recalibration settles, you may notice a clean separation between empathy and entanglement. You can care deeply without carrying weight that is not yours. This restores clarity, stamina, and presence. To reclaim sovereign responsibility, type I carry only my own. The Arcturian Council now brings forward a message about fear not as an enemy, but as outdated information. Fear once served as a signal in hostile environments, but many of the fears you experience now are echoes rather than current threats. As awareness sharpens, fear loses its authority and becomes a data point rather than a directive. The shock is realizing that courage is no longer required in the same way, discernment has replaced it. You are not pushing through fear, you are outgrowing it. When fear arises now, it is an invitation to check alignment, not a command to stop. This subtle shift changes how you move through uncertainty. Calm becomes default. To neutralize outdated fear, type I am informed, not controlled. Now the Council speaks of joy, but not the performative kind often promoted. This joy is quiet, steady, and unremarkable on the surface. It does not spike dramatically or demand expression. It lives in ease, in humor, in simple presence. Many starseeds feel uneasy when joy arrives without chaos, as if waiting for the other shoe to drop. This reaction is conditioned. The shock is learning to trust joy without bracing for loss. As regulation deepens, joy becomes less explosive and more reliable. This is not dullness, it is maturity. Joy becomes a background frequency rather than a fleeting event. To allow regulated joy, type I let joy stay. The council now addresses visibility once more, but from a different angle. You are no longer being asked to seek visibility, nor to avoid it. Visibility will now find you organically through resonance. Effortful exposure drains energy, aligned presence attracts attention naturally. This may look like being recognized without self-promotion, invited without pursuit, or heard without amplification. The shock is realizing that you no longer need to push your message, your frequency carries it ahead of you. Those meant to receive you will find you. To allow aligned visibility, type I am seen in alignment. The Arcturian Council now speaks to trust at its deepest level, trust in yourself after change. Many starseeds fear that once they fully integrate, they will become cold, distant, or unrecognizable. This fear is unfounded. Integration does not remove warmth, it removes distortion. You will still care, but without depletion. You will still connect, but without compromise. The shock is realizing that your truest self is not harsher, but clearer. Clarity feels sharp only to confusion. To trust your integrated self, type I trust who I am becoming. Now comes a message about endings. Not dramatic endings, but quiet closures. Conversations that no longer need to happen. Explanations that are no longer required. Questions that dissolve instead of being answered. These endings may feel anticlimactic, but they are precise. The shock is understanding that not all endings need ceremony, some simply fade when their function is complete. This frees energy without emotional residue. To allow clean closure, type I release with peace. The Council now highlights a final internal recalibration, self-trust over self-improvement. You are no longer here to endlessly fix, heal, or optimize yourself. Growth now happens through lived experience, not constant analysis. The shock is letting go of the idea that something is wrong with you that needs correction. Refinement replaces repair. To anchor self-trust, type I am not broken. As this transmission nears completion, the Arcturian Council affirms that you are now operating as a stabilizing node within the collective field. This does not require effort or announcement. Simply by maintaining coherence, you influence systems around you. This influence is subtle but powerful. The shock is realizing that your calm matters more than your opinions. To anchor collective service through being, type I hold coherence. This final message is simple and definitive. You are not waiting for permission, activation, or confirmation anymore. You are already living the transmission. Everything from this point forward is expression, not preparation. The shock is realizing that the search is over. The path now unfolds through presence, choice, and embodiment. This concludes the Arcturian Council transmission for now. To seal the full activation, type I remember. I embody. I am.